This is Audi's Q3 with a plug-in hybrid engine and battery. Batteries in the back, engines in the front, and if you want to buy one in Ireland, it's from just over €46,000. Go for this more expensive S-Line version of it and you'll get, well, no S-Line badge on the front. Just ones on the side, but you will get black high gloss all over the car, including on the front, the mirror housing, roof rails, and a pretty funky looking spoiler on the back of the car as well, with black trim all around the glass, including the privacy glass on the back. Speaking of which, you'll get sweeping indicators, an electric boot if you like, and the space is actually less than 380 litres because the battery's underneath. The new Skoda Fabia, for example, is as big. So if you think about buying a Q3 because you think it's going to lug all your family stuff around, you may have to think again. Now under here, there's a little bit of stuff going on for storage, but you can tell that they don't really want you to mess with that. One benefit of the higher up floor and smaller boot in the PHEV version is the lip is just straight to drag things in and out of. There's also nothing on the back to say this is a slightly electrified car. It just says Q3. Maybe Audi are going for the discreet and subtle look. That said, if you're looking for discreet, Tango Red may not be the colour for you, to be very, very fair. Good bit of room back here though for your knees, your feet. The fact that this bench is probably housing what's left of a bit of the battery as well. It does feel like you're sitting a little bit higher. Little storage areas down here for the kids to put their junk into. It still drives me kind of bonkers that Audi do not give you USB charging ports in the back of a car like this. You gotta pay for it. They do, however, give you two air vents, but it's not independently controlled from the climate control. Of course it isn't. And if you've got kids, well, you'll get their child seats, easily two of them into the back of the car, and there's still decent space for them. And they'll be able to see out the windows, and generally your life should be full of harmony as you transport them around in the Q3. The range on the battery, by the way, is, well, Audi say 50 kilometers. My use of it has been more like 40. You can charge it on the go, however. There's an EV button down here that you can't miss. You tap that and you're brought into a setting on the car into e-tron mode, and then you can battery charge or battery hold. Maybe you want to hold some charge for driving in a city centre environment, or not going on a school run and pumping out emissions. Whichever you're interested in, you can obviously you can hold that. It will use fuel, obviously, if you're charging the battery on the move. You can charge it at home on a wall box. It'll only do 3.6 kilowatt charging, and it'll take 4 hours to get to full, and it is a 13 kilowatt hour battery, so not the biggest in the world. Everything else inside the car is just standard Q3, which is not a bad thing, by the way, because if you're a regular viewer on the channel, you know how I feel about Audi interiors. They are one of the best. And the only thing I can really pick a gripe with is there's nothing to cover up the drinks holders, and there's nothing to cover up this area, which houses space for your phone. If you had wireless charging, you'd get that down there. This doesn't, and two USB-C ports on the side here. But it would be nice to just cover these things up, and I feel is there a little bit of cost cutting going on having done that. Because this is an S-Line version, you get the S-Line bucket seats, a little bit of suede Alcantara on the sides, just a nice little touch in the car, and the S-Line steering wheel. It is quite large, but it looks very, very classy. Your dials, got two options in this car. You can make them a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. And there's a boost function that I'll explain a bit more on the drive. But colour displays, again, if you want nav, this navigation system has not been activated. Please contact your Audi dealer. Of course, there's wireless CarPlay, but it's kind of not the point at this price. Petrol-wise, it's a 1.4, 150 brake horsepower petrol engine. Then, if you have your car charged, combined, then it's 245 brake horsepower. But if you don't have the battery charged, you obviously don't get that power output from the car. It's a little over 7 seconds to 60. It actually rides higher, 10 millimeters higher than the standard non-plug-in hybrid version of the car. And that may be a factor for you in your consideration for your alloys. These black ones I think look pretty good, but the bigger they are, the less comfortable your ride is going to be. And also because the car sits a little bit higher, it's not going to handle quite as well as you might be expecting an S-Line to handle. That said, it's not bad. I don't find it particularly floaty, but it's worth, again, bearing in mind if you're into your handling. That said, if you're into your handling, this may not be the type of car you'd be looking at in the first place. The other thing that's happened a couple of times to me, and that it hasn't been a wet week at all, is wheel spin. If you're pulling away from a set of lights, you're just trying to get out of a junction, and not particularly flooring the accelerator or anything like that, you'll get wheel spin, and people will look at you like as if you're trying to deliberately get tire spin, and you might get a few strange looks in that capacity if that happens. It's a 6-speed gearbox, automatic obviously in the plug-in hybrid, but it is quiet, and it will always start up in battery mode as long as you have range again. And around town it's very, very quiet, very easy to live with, really, really smooth, and that extra bit of battery torque obviously makes for a quick getaway at all times, minus the wheel spin. Good bit of safety stuff as standard on board, like frontal collision avoidance. However, at this price point, you're getting blind spot, and you might expect it in a car like this with an Audi badge. And it's not just the Q3, it's lots of their cars. You've got to pay for absolutely every little extra, and in some ways you might like that because you can tailor it with packs. Other ways you might go, why is it not a standard? I've paid for an Audi. On the motorway then, it's nice and planted because of the weight of it, and they say it will also do up to 140 kilometers an hour in battery mode. Obviously you'll eat through that very quickly if you do that sort of speed, not to mention the fact that it'll be breaking the law. Apart from that, it's kind of uneventful to drive. As we say in Ireland, it's grand. Now, you can get up to 200 miles per gallon out of this car, but you want to be charging it all the time. The actual real-life vibes are 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres and 8.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres. That's over a distance of about 1,300 kilometres in total. A lot of the time with plug-in hybrids, you have to add in the fact that it can be quite a jump over the standard petrol or even diesel options. In this case, not the S-Line version, but the PHEV version of the Q3 is only €3,000 extra. So if you were to keep the car for 3 years, call that €1,000 per year to have a plug-in hybrid version. And then the argument for, is it going to be an awful lot cheaper to run, is kind of valid, because petrol prices just seem to be going one way, or certainly not down. So it's an interesting car. Will it work for your family? I'm not sure, because that's up to you. Do you need buggies and other things? Then maybe it won't. Maybe it's just a bit too small. But it's stylish looking, it's classy looking, and if you're brave enough to go for Tango Red, you won't look like a fire engine. You look like you're actually very, very cool and sophisticated and not afraid of bright things. Thank you very much for watching with me today. If you've got any comments or questions, please do leave them in the comment section down below. We're on the way to 30,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you've been here since the start, thank you for your support as always. I'll see you on the next one.